All right, so this Knife Thoughts EDC, or everything that doesn't cut video, is going to be on this flashlight, the Folomov EDC. And as always, if you enjoy videos on knives and other EDC related items, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Also, check out my social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives and EDC related items like this. So, I had not heard of Folomov before someone from the company reached out to me about doing a review on this light. And I always like getting to check out new flashlights and other EDC related items. So I agreed, and I purchased the light from Amazon and then was reimbursed by Folomov. So I want to make sure to mention that. But I also want to say, as always, I'm going to give you my true thoughts on this flashlight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it just because, they reimbursed me for the light. I did make sure to carry and use this light since getting it and really get a feel for my thoughts on it. So, what is this light? Well, as the name implies, it is an EDC focused light, and a very, very small one. So before I give you some comparisons, I'll show you, they really do highlight it on the box. It is only 12.4 grams, which they show right on the front here. And then on the back, it tells you that it's 45.5 millimeters. So very, very small. And I do want to give you a couple comparisons. So first, here is an Olight i3T EOS, which is a AAA battery flashlight. And you can see that it's much longer. It is a little bit less wide in diameter than the Folomov, but the Folomov is much, much shorter. And then here is the classic MSR D4V2. This is an 18650 battery flashlight, so obviously it's going to be bigger, but it is considered one of the smaller 18650 battery flashlights. And you can see that it completely dwarfs the Folomov, while they actually have a relatively similar kind of design to them. So this is a very, very small flashlight. And speaking of batteries, this light uses a kind of interesting battery. It's not, I guess, technically proprietary, but from what I've seen, and I actually had someone on Reddit when I posted this, they asked me, they said that they were looking for a replacement battery because they love their Folomov EDC, and they needed a replacement battery, and they couldn't find one anywhere, and they, wondered if Folomov sold them separately. And I guess what they were told was that they don't really sell them separately, so you kind of have to buy another light to get another one of the batteries. So it's not really proprietary, but it seems like it's hard to get these batteries on their own. So it's a 14300 battery, which means that it is only 14 millimeters in width here and then 30 in length. So it has the kind of standard, denomination for batteries, but it's not the most common of batteries. You can see that, 3.7 volts and then 520 mAh there for the capacity. So very, very small battery. But moving on to another thing that I really like about this light is that it is a onboard charging battery. So you can see if I close this up here, there's no port on the outside. And in some of my other flashlight videos, I've talked about, the silicone. I always get those mixed up. But the silicone ports that a lot of flashlights have, like this Workhos FC11, which I really like, but they're not really waterproof. So I've, had a lot of feedback on this. It's not something worth worrying about and things like that. But these will end up wearing out, and so then there's just, an open port on the flashlight. So I really appreciate that this is completely enclosed and that it is, an enclosed battery. And in fact, as you can see on the front here, it's IPX8 waterproof, which means that it's genuinely waterproof. It's usually something like 3 meters underwater for 30 minutes, something like that. So, you don't really have to worry about this thing getting wet. And in fact, as you can see, it has an orange O-ring, and there are some replacement O-rings in the box. So, you know, my reviews, I'm not a big, like, showing everything that's in the box and all that kind of thing if it's not an unboxing, but just because it does come with a charging cord for the battery, but I think pretty much everybody has a micro USB cord at this point. But it comes with not one, but 2 extra O-rings. So, you know, even if you use this light a lot and open and close it a lot to charge it, and that O-ring gets a little worn out, you've got extras there. So you don't have to worry about that. It's a very waterproof light. Now, again, the nice thing about this type of battery is it is rechargeable. So you can, you know, recharge it anywhere that you have basically a power source, some sort of power block or something, and a micro USB, which again, it includes one, but I think everybody has one. So it makes it pretty easy to charge, particularly because this battery, this 14300 battery, is so small that for the charger that I use for my, you know, non-onboard charging batteries, this would not fit in it. So, for example, an 18350, it's just big enough or just long enough to fit and actually charge on the charger that I use. So this 14300, which is 5 millimeters shorter, just won't fit. So it is nice, you know, to have that onboard charging with the micro USB straight on the battery. So seems like nice construction overall. Speaking of the construction, it does have a clip for the pocket, and you can see it's a pretty deep carry clip, and it is emitter up. So when you put it in your pocket, the emitter is facing upwards. Makes it so you can tell if you accidentally turn it on. But the clip works pretty well. I was actually surprised because I have had lights where the clip goes close enough to the end of the light that it makes it so that it's really difficult to put the light in your pocket, not so much take it out, but put it in. And I didn't find that to be the case with this. This clip is pretty easy to use for the size of the light. You know, I was able to put it in and out of my pocket without too much trouble. And the clip, you know, it doesn't actually set against the body of the light, but it has enough tension that it didn't fall out of my pocket or anything like that. It is a tension fit clip though, it's not screwed on. But also with the construction is a negative. This light doesn't have a keyring connection point. It doesn't have a keyring hole anywhere. And it boggles my mind. I just like, it is unreal to me that it doesn't. Now, I have considered the fact that I have a keyring right here that I can show you this with, that you can put a keyring onto the clip. So if I can get this keyring out, you could always, you know, basically clip it to a keyring. That's an option. It's a little bit of an inelegant solution in my opinion, but it is a, you know, a practical solution to that. I just don't know why they wouldn't include one down here somewhere. It could still tail stand, you know. This light has one. This light has one. A couple different, you know, ways that you can make a light still be able to tail stand, but have a keyring attachment point. So with this light being so small and so light, it would be super, super easy to carry on a keychain. And I really think that, you know, while attaching it to the clip works, certainly, I think that it would be worth adding a keyring attachment point, because to be honest, I would be a lot more likely, I carried this in my pocket with the clip, you know, so far because I wanted to, you know, try it out. But I would be a lot more likely to carry this on my keyring because it's so small that, you know, it really fits that use for me. So I do wish that it had a keyring attachment. But going on to something that I really like about it is that it has this TIR optic or tier optic. And what that does is it just diffuses the light so that you don't get, you know, too much of a hot spot, really no hot spot at all. I'm not going to show beam shots with this, but it is pretty much a, you know, perfectly even spread of light. It's really floody. It doesn't have a whole lot of throw, but I mean, actually it has a pretty impressive amount of throw for such a small light, but it focuses on the flood, which I think is a good thing on a light like this. It's, you know, an EDC light. It's not really a tactical light. So that brings me into another negative here, and this moves us into the UI or user interface of this light. So right now it is in mode memory. So when you turn the light on, it'll stay or go into the last brightness. So you can see I turned it off and it goes into the same brightness that it was last on. And that's great. I do like mode memory normally. And what you do, press the button to turn it on, press the button to change brightnesses, and it cycles through. Here is and I'll show you the different levels here. So we've got Moonlight, which is 1 lumen. That's a nice low moonlight, and it is really, really nicely dim. I know that's kind of counterintuitive if you're not used to, flashlights, but it's really nice to have a very low moonlight, and it is nice and low. I'm not measuring it. I don't do measurements on my flashlights, but it's nicely dim. And that is claimed to go for 270 hours, so that's a lot of time. Then you go up to 10 lumens for 30 hours, 50 lumens for 6 hours, 150 lumens for 2 hours, and that was actually all wrong. So this is actually the low. So this is 10 lumens, and this is medium, this is high, so that's 150 lumens, and this is 525 lumens. Now, do I think it's 525 lumens? I don't know. It's very, very, very bright for the size of the light. It says that the 525 lumens will last for an hour, but it will definitely scale down. It's not going to stay 525 lumens for a full hour. What I did wrong there was you actually, to get to Moonlight, hold the button. That's the Moonlight. So that's the 1 lumen. It's not part of the normal. There's low, medium, high, and turbo. So the Moonlight, if you turn it on, it doesn't go down to Moonlight here. If I hold it and then hold it again, that's the Moonlight. So that's the main part of the user interface. Now, I said it's not a tactical light, and I wanted to cover the fact that a double click here, and so I'm going to do strobe. So if anybody has trouble with strobe, don't watch for the next 10 seconds or so. Again, I'm going to do strobe, so don't watch for the next couple seconds if you have trouble with that. But a double click takes it to strobe, and then a click from there will get you into a couple different modes. There is, and I'm going to pull up the instructions for this. There is strobe, SOS, and beacon. So I think that pretty much all 3 of those are completely unnecessary on this light. The reason for that is because this just isn't a tactical light. It's so small, it's not made for that. You're not going to use this to blind somebody, who's trying to attack you, or even really as an SOS or a beacon. I don't think people use those very much on their flashlights anyway, but, I don't think this is what you would use if you were in a situation like that. Maybe someone has and it saved their life, I don't know, but I would much, much rather this light had a direct to turbo on a double click than any of those strobe, SOS, and beacon modes. So I really think as an EDC focused and not tactical flashlight, this would be much better off to have that direct access to Moonlight with the hold, and then the normal, stepped ramp, and then to have a direct to turbo with a double click rather than to strobe, SOS, and beacon. I just don't see any use for those. Now, as for the tint, it's a relatively cool tint, and I don't know how well you can tell that in the video here, but it's a relatively cool tint. It's got a little bit of a bluish hue to it. It doesn't really have any green, and it's not really too bad. I don't, I do enjoy the very nice tints of higher end or more enthusiast focused emitters, but this Cree XTE LED, it's not too bad. It's kind of bluish, but I don't think that it's a bad looking emitter. I'm sure some people would disagree. When I was posting about this on Reddit, someone said that this is an older emitter, but either way, that's what it comes with here, and I find it to be, you know, pretty good. It definitely looks, again, bluer than something, you know, like a 219B, which is what I have in this, or I believe this is SST20. Might be something like that. It might be LHD 351. But this is 2700K, so it's not a very good comparison. Now, I will give you a quick comparison to the Olight i3T EOS again. You can see that they're relatively similar, but I would say that the Olight has maybe a kind of a greenish yellowish as compared to the Folomov. I'm sure that it's not showing up well on my camera here, but I do actually prefer the emitter on the Folomov to that on the Olight there. So not the perfect user interface, but I do really appreciate that it has direct to low. Not the perfect emitter or not the best emitter that you could have, but I think that it works well enough for me. Now, really, to me, what this light is a fun little light. So that's really kind of my conclusion on this thing, is that it's probably not, if I was going to buy one light and only use one light, it probably wouldn't be this one. Because if I wanted to buy one light that was a keychain light, I'd probably want it to have a keychain attachment. If I was going to buy one light that was like a carry in the pocket, it would probably be a little bigger than this. But being a flashlight enthusiast like I am, and probably if you're watching this, you at least have some sort of enthusiasm for flashlights, I can really appreciate the fun factor. So it is tiny. It's really, really small. Again, I want to really emphasize this is a tiny, tiny little flashlight. And that's cool, right? Like, it's fun to have a super tiny little flashlight that's still really, really, really bright. I mean, compared to, you know, again, even this Olight, it's much brighter than that. So you get a lot of brightness out of a really, really small package and a pretty passable user interface, as well as the true, you know, waterproof, which makes so you don't have to worry about it too much, and that, you know, onboard charging battery that's not really proprietary, but at least you can charge it and, you know, keep using the light when it does, you know, die a little quicker than something with a bigger battery like an 18650. But it's just fun. It's tiny. It's well built. It feels nice. You know, it feels like it has good quality, and I just have enjoyed it. I really have. What I plan for this is for this to be kind of a backup. I could throw it in a little EDC pouch and, you know, have it as a backup in an EDC pouch. I think it would be great for that. A lot of people like to have that kind of a backup EDC where they've got a small multi-tool, a small knife, a flashlight, and this would be great in that. Definitely a great choice for that. And also just for the fun of it. Again, I think that it's a cool little light to add to your collection if you are a flashlight enthusiast like me. So like I said, they do have a 20% discount going on right now. It is through Amazon. I will have the link in the description. You have to click that link and then it automatically gets added to your cart, I believe. That's what it seemed like when I went through with it. And like I say, with the 20% discount for me, it'll probably depend on your taxes, but it was under $25. I think that that's a good value if you value the novelty of it. So there are other flashlights in close to that range, not quite at that range. The more true EDC, I think, fully functional flashlights like, you know, a Workos FC11 or some of the Sofern lights are more in the $30 range, but this is in the $28 range, you know, without that discount. So those, you know, are a little more expensive, but there are some options close to the price that, you know, if you're really looking for your true everyday carry, you know, purely practical light, maybe you would go with those. But if you want something fun, it's not going to break the bank, under $30, and you can, you know, have in a backup pouch or on your keychain, or, you know, just carry in your watch pocket, which is what I did a lot of the times with this, then I think that it is a good value. So I have enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. thank you to Sunny at Folomov for, contacting me and, being willing to work with me on this. Again, if you enjoy this type of video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you know when I post new videos. Check out my other social media and my blog. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.